अरू इन्फर्मेसनहरू धेरै वेबिनारको बारेमा अथवा हाम्रो वेबिनार के हो भनेर थाहा पाउनु भएको छैन भने दिज वेबिनार सिरिज आर बिङ कन्डक्टेड बाई टिपिओ नेपाल इन कोअर्डिनेसन विथ जर्ज वासिङटन युनिभर्सिटी। सो यसको मेन मोटिभ भनेको चाहिँ अर्ली एन्ड मिड करियर मेन्टल एन्ड बिहेभियरल हेल्थ रिसर्चरको चाहिँ क्यापेसिटी बिल्डिङमा फोकस गरेर हामीले चाहिँ सर्टेन इभेन्टहरू वेबिनार सिरिजहरू मन्थली वेबिनार सिरिजहरू कन्डक्ट गर्दै आइरहेका छौँ सिन्स 2021। सो दिस इज अ पार्ट अफ द्याट क्यापेसिटी बिल्डिङ इभेन्ट्स। So, so as usual, we also have Ritika Singh, who is a research consultant at George Washington University. So she will be handling the technical aspects and supporting us in our webinar as well. So as you can see in the screen, the title of our 32nd webinar, which is Insights into the Mental Health Experience and Challenges of College Students in Kathmandu, Nepal. And speaker for today is Rubina Awale, which I have known from like a year virtually or online. And our Ritika Singh will be introducing her after some minutes. So before that, we have some couple of reminders and housekeeping items which we share in our each webinar. So first thing first, हाम्रो main reminder भनेको चाहिँ हामीले वेबिनारहरू चाहिँ रेकर्डिङ गर्छौँ for sharing the webinar materials to the registered participants. अगाडि वेबिनार यदि छुटाउनु भएको छ भने पनि हामीले वेबिनार रेकर्डिङहरू चाहिँ हाम्रो टिपिओ नेपालको युट्युब च्यानलमा पनि राख्छौँ or we do share the webinar recording and slides with the in the email with the feedback form. So हामीले वेबिनार मेटेरियल्सहरू चाहिँ रजिस्टर्ड पार्टिसिपेन्टहरूलाई मात्रै पठाउनु भएकोले चाहिँ हजुरहरूले हाम्रो रजिस्ट्रेसन फर्म भर्नु भएको छैन भने चाहिँ प्लिज रजिस्ट्रेसन फर्म चाहिँ भरिदिनु होला किनभने मेटेरियल्सहरू चाहिँ सिधै रजिस्ट्रेसन फर्ममा आउनु भएकोहरूलाई चाहिँ गर्नु के अरे मेटेरियल्सहरू सेयर गर्नु मिल्छ। सो हाम्रो रजिस्ट्रेसन फर्म चाहिँ हाम्रो सोसियल मिडिया पेजेसहरूमा पनि पाउनुहुन्छ हजुरले टिपिओ नेपालको। एन्ड अर्को रिमाइन्डर भनेको चाहिँ हाम्रो वेबिनारको ड्युरेसन चाहिँ युजली 6 to 7 हुन्छ विच इज 1 hour, जसमा चाहिँ यो अहिले मैले सर्टेन हाउसकिपिङ आइटम्स एन्ड इन्ट्रोडक्सन अफ स्पिकर गर्दा चाहिँ हामीले 8 to 10 मिनट्स लिन्छौँ। अनि आफ्टर द्याट आवर स्पिकर विल बी प्रेजेन्टिङ हर टपिक with the help of our slides अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ 30 मिनट जतिको प्रेजेन्टेसन हुन्छ। त्यो टाइम ड्युरेसनमा चाहिँ वी डु नट इन्टरप्ट हर बट त्यो बाहेक चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ उहाँको प्रेजेन्टेसन सकिए पछाडि हामीसँग कुनै क्वेरी छ कन्सर्न छ अथवा उहाँहरूलाई सोध्नुपर्ने छ भने चाहिँ हामीले हाम्रो च्याट बक्सको युज गरेर त्यहाँ हजुरहरूले चाहिँ आफ्नो क्वेरिजहरू राख्न सक्नुहुनेछ इन बिट्विन द प्रेजेन्टेसन अल्सो। अनि हाम्रो चाहिँ यो प्रेजेन्टेसन पछाडि 10 to 15 मिनट्सको Q&A सेसन हुन्छ जसमा चाहिँ हजुरले यो जुमको ह्यान्ड रेज एप युज गरेर अथवा अनम्युट गरेर चाहिँ क्वेसन्सहरू सोध्न सक्नुहुनेछ डिरेक्टली स्पिकरसँग अर च्याट बक्स युज गर्न सक्नुहुनेछ। अनि यो Q&A सेसन पछाडि चाहिँ हाम्रो 2-3 मिनट्सको चाहिँ समरी हुन्छ विथ हाम्रो ओभरअल डिस्कसन के भयो र लास्टमा चाहिँ के गिभ अवे छ भने चाहिँ हाम्रो स्पिकरले त्यो सेयर गर्नुहुन्छ। त्यसपछि हामीले वी ऱ्याप अप द वेबिनार। अनि हामी यही टाइम ड्युरेसनमा चाहिँ स्ट्रिक्टली फलो गर्छौँ इन एभ्री वेबिनार। अनि अर्को रिमाइन्डर भनेको चाहिँ हाम्रो फिडब्याक फर्म छ त्यो पनि हामीले हजुरहरूलाई जुन रजिस्टर्ड पार्टिसिपेन्टहरू हुनुहुन्छ उहाँहरूलाई मेटेरियलसँग फिडब्याक फर्म पनि पठाउँछौँ। मैले अगाडि भने जस्तो हाम्रो यो वेबिनार सिरिजहरू चाहिँ मेनली अर्ली एन्ड मिड करियर रिसर्चर्सको एरिया अफ इन्ट्रेस्ट अथवा त्यसमा चाहिँ कुन कुरालाई चाहिँ इन्ट्रेस्ट हुन्छ भन्दै मोडिफाई गर्दै त्यही रिलेटेड टपिक्सहरू नै लिएर आएका छौँ। सो द्याट अहिलेको चाहिँ हाम्रो आई थिङ्क अहिलेको चाहिँ हाम्रो अलिकति युनिक टपिक नै छ जुन पहिला भएको थिएन कलेज स्टुडेन्टलाई लिएर अथवा मेन्टल हेल्थ एक्सपिरियन्स। सो यो चाहिँ हामीले सबै अर्ली करियरलाई फोकस गरेर गरेको स्ट्रक्चर त्यही अनुसार चेन्ज गर्दै आएको भएर चाहिँ हजुरहरूको कुनै फिडब्याक छ भने चाहिँ हामीले एकदम एप्रिसिएट गर्छौँ र एन्करेज पनि गर्छौँ फिडब्याक फर्म भरिदिनको लागि। यो फिडब्याक फर्म चाहिँ अहिले यहाँ च्याट बक्समा पनि राखिदिनुहुन्छ हजुरहरूको फर इज। अनि रिमाइन्डर्सहरू यति नै छ। अनि अरू केही छ भने हाम्रो इमेल एड्रेसहरू अथवा हाम्रो इमेल आइडीमा डिरेक्टली हजुरले गर्न सक्नुहुनेछ। अनि हाम्रो फ्युचर इभेन्ट भनेको चाहिँ यो वेबिनार सिरिजहरू चाहिँ हामीले मन्थली एभ्री थर्ड विक अफ एभ्री मन्थ कन्डक्ट गर्छौँ। यो चाहिँ हाम्रो सबै सोसियल मिडिया पेजेसहरूमा अनाउन्स हुन्छ र जो नेटवर्क मेम्बर्सहरू हुनुहुन्छ हाम्रो एमएचआरएन नेटवर्क मेम्बर्स भनेर उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ इन्भिटेसन इमेलहरू हामीले पठाउँछौँ स्पिकर डिटेल्स सहित र जसले रजिस्ट्रेसन फर्म भर्नु भएको छ उहाँहरूलाई हामीले क्यालेन्डर इन्भिटेसन पनि रेगुलरली पठाइ नै राखेको हुन्छौँ। सो यति नै छ रिमाइन्डर्सको लागि। सो अहिलेलाई चाहिँ हाम्रो स्पिकर हाम्रो रुबिना अवालेजीलाई इन्ट्रोड्युस गर्न चाहिँ हाम्रो रितिका सिंहले गर्नुहुन्छ। सो प्लिज। थ्याङ्क यू।
Thank you, Vintaji, for the amazing agenda setting. Let me start by saying that it's a privilege to get to introduce Rubina Awale, who is one of the most hardworking early career researchers I've had the privilege to meet. उहाँको formal introduction भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ नि Rubina Awale is a dedicated and experienced mental health professional specializing in child and adolescent psychology and school counseling. उहाँले आफ्नो मास्टर्स डिग्री इन अप्लाइड साइकोलोजी अर्न गर्नुभएको छ फ्रम टाटा इन्स्टिट्युट अफ सोशल साइन्सेस इन इन्डिया. Rubina has been working in the field of mental health since the past 10 years, where she has been involved in numerous mental health projects and research initiatives with a specific focus on community based mental health intervention and improving mental health outcomes in low and middle income countries and communities, which includes her work in Nepal. Currently, she serves as the director of Heart and Mind Hub at Thames International College, and she is also involved in the Mental Health, Access and Inclusion Department at Yulin School. She's specifically working towards mental health awareness and initiatives at the college level, which segues really well into her presentation content of today. अलिकति कन्टेक्स्ट पनि दिनु पर्दाखेरि चाहिँ रुबिना इज अल्सो वान अफ द टु रेसिपिएन्ट्स हाम्रो लास्ट मन्थको वेबिनारमा पनि लिसाशा पौडेल वाज वान अफ द टु रेसिपिएन्ट्स अफ द नेपाल मेन्टल हेल्थ रिसर्च नेटवर्क मिनी ग्रान्ट. अनि हामीले त्यो वेबिनारमा पनि कुरा गरेको थियौँ हाउ दिस टु वेबिनार्स आर आवर प्लेटफर्म फर आवर ग्रान्टिज टु स्पिक अबाउट टु टक अबाउट देयर ओन रिसर्च एन्ड देयर ओन फाइन्डिङ्स. As one of the two recipients of this grant, Rubina will be talking about the findings of her research that she did within that grant. Hamro yo grant was one of the capacity building initiatives to support research on topics related to mental and behavioral health. Jasma hamro grantees harule chai some sort of funding as well as dedicated research mentorship paunu bhayeko thiyo. So without much ado, we're really looking forward to listening more about your experiences, your learnings, and your research, Rubina. Over to you.
Thank you, Vinita ji and Ritika ji, for having me today to share my insights and experiences. And it feels great to have this platform. My screen share गरिहाल्छु. So like Vinita ji said earlier, Ajay, I'm going to talk about the insights into the mental health experiences and challenges of college students in Kathmandu, Nepal. So Ismaji, I'll definitely be talking about the research that I conducted. On top of that, I'll also be sharing my personal insights and experiences from my work with the adolescent and young adults. So this has already been covered. So yes, man, I'm just gonna skip it. So before diving into Azako discussion, I just wanted to give every one of you a little perspective on the kind of burden and the challenges that the youths today are facing. So college itself is a very challenging time for many students, specifically because of the academic pressure that they have to deal with. Because of the societal demands, so student life can actually be very stressful for many students, and leading to feelings of stress, anxiety, and burnout. And 80% of college students, they describe school life as being very stressful for them. And if we are to look into the data and statistics among the college students, it's found that anxiety disorders affect approximately 11.9% of college students, whereas depression is found between 7 to 9%. And suicide it's the third leading cause of death among young adults. Right? And these facts are very alarming. Kasma. Let's not forget that our students are still recovering from the COVID-19 impact. I think for many of us too, we can relate to it very much that the emotional impact is still lingering over. It's not over yet. And especially students because of the delay that they had faced in their academics, because of the uncertainty with the exams and gradings and sabai kuraharu, it's making them very anxious about the academic future pani. And especially adjusting to post-pandemic education system has been one of the top concerns that was covered by the students अहिले मेरो researchमा पनि. And data and research also mentions that early signs of mental health often occurs in teenagers. So mostly by the age of 14, 50% of the people might say they already experience some kind of mental health conditions already. So it's also one of the way for us to be more alert and aware about what our young adults, young adolescents might be going through. And young people, they often find it hard to ask for help. So a research conducted in 2022, it found that 64% of young adults, they rarely or never talk about mental health with their parents, mainly because of reasons of parents being dismissive about the mental health concerns, about them not being comfortable to open up about their mental health struggles to the parents, about not being aware about the mental health resources that's there. So all of these factors lead to them hesitating to seek help at all. So you're just little perspective for us to kind of understand like where the student are coming from, and I hope that that perspective helps us throughout this session pani. So यो चाहिँ insights from the FGD that I did with students of Thames International College. So me being part of Thames here, this was something I wanted to look into. I needed एउटा assessment sort of among the students to kind of understand like उनीहरूको classroom experiences उनीहरूको class dynamics के कस्तो छ, what do they think of the college environment, what are the struggles and challenges that they face inside the college territory भन्ने कुराहरू. So we started with a very broad question, like what is a college to you? What does college basically mean to you? भन्ने question सोधेको थियौँ. अनि the responses to this is very varied. Some have a very positive thing to say about the college life, and for some the experiences has not been the same, and that also shows how diverse the experiences of the students might be, right, regarding the college life. So these are some of the responses that I have like categorized. So for some, college was thought to be a place that fosters a greater awareness for them. It is a place for them to build skills, to network, spend time with friends. It's a learning environment for them. It's a place that prepares them for the real world. It is also a community where they feel a sense of belonging. And for some, like the classroom space, the college space is also a very safe space where they get a proper guidance and nurturing. While these are some of the positive feedbacks the students had to say, there are also some of the things that the students feel are very, that does not kind of help them. So for some, the college was also thought to be an escape from the unhealthy and adverse home environment. अनि कतिको लागि चाहिँ college was also a space where they were experiencing violence and abuse and harassment of some kind of, be it from their fellow batchmates अथवा in some instances from the teachers themselves पनि. So these were kind of a very mixed responses from the students regarding their college experiences. And we also asked them questions on how do they generally feel in the classroom and in the college भन्ने कुरामा हैन. अनि यसमा पनि the responses are very diverse. So starting with like the first statement here on the left in the computer screen, there is for this individual, for this student, there is fear of living a very mediocre life and living a very average life. For which this person says, I'm very terrified of living an ordinary and average life with a regular job and not doing anything to be remembered. Orgo statement, this person says, I so want to come out of this phase from my life, but I don't know what to do. So the desire to change, but also the feeling of hopelessness and a feeling of confusion and feeling lost. Another person says, I feel like there's always so much to do and not enough time. The constant pressure to perform well is exhausting. I think this might be very relatable to most of the students. The need to perform well, the need to be perfect, the need to excel and get like perfect grades, and managing the expectations from the parents about the academics, from the teachers, and the expectations and ambitions you have for yourself. त्यो कुराहरू सबै could be very taxing on the student. For some students, because they come to Kathmandu to pursue the study, they are away from the family, and that moment alone, that transition alone can be very hard for them, you know. So especially for this student, being away from family and facing a breakup was the hardest point in this person's life, you know. And this person also says, I wanted to kill myself. So we can also see how these things have had like a very deep impact on the student and the mental health Manikurari pani. Whereas some students, they acknowledged the support from the teachers pani. So they say that teachers who show empathy and flexibility really help. It's important to feel understood, not just academically, but emotionally too. So students and the need to feel supportive in the class, supported in the classroom environment by the teachers, and it actually helps Manikuraru. Another student mentioned, I don't feel like I belong to the college and I have hard time fitting in. So many times the social connection or the forge गर्न नसकेको हैन, meaningful friendships build गर्न नसकेको instances another person says, I'm mostly at my zero, no motivation, no energy, but when I come to class I have to pretend to be at my 100%, and this itself is so tiring. And the last statement here, our generation gets dragged so much and insulted so much. I think people label our generation as being too lazy. We are shamed as being ridiculous teenagers. I think every generation are very critical of like the new generation pani, and I can actually like relate to it very much. So these are some of the experiences that the students spoke out when we asked them about the classroom experiences and college experiences. Now I'm gonna share some of my preliminary findings from my research. So my research title say exploring mental health experiences of young adults in Kathmandu, Nepal, with a focus on sexual identity. So your research, but I basically wanted to look into the mental experiences of students, with a focus on understanding what could be the risk factors that's associated, maybe school environment, maybe family environment, maybe looking into aspects like relationships or friendships or social connections or that would supposedly act as a risk factor or a protective factor for them. So before moving on to my findings, I wanted to acknowledge the team at Nepal Mental Health Research Network. So as mentioned again, I'm one of the recipients of the grant from Nepal Mental Health Research Network. So your grant, I received this grant last July 2023, and this has been a year-long project for me, research project for me. And I'm very grateful for the team because they have been involved since the inception of my research. Like if the research idea form bakदेखि लिएर finalizing the tools for it, applying in NHRC, going through ethical review, and to the process of like data collection and now like data analysis part. So almost like all the final stages or something. The team at Nepal Mental Health Research Network has been guiding me throughout, and I'm very helpful and appreciative of the involvement of the team, of the supervision of the team. So your research, it's your grant, it's an initiative funded by the United States National Institute of Mental Health, which is run in collaboration with the George Washington University Center for Global Mental Health Equity and Transcultural Psychosocial Organization, Nepal. And this grant really actually helped me to expand the scope of my research, having that grant actually helped me to kind of extend the timeline of the research pani, and to recruit like team members to work on this like research objective pani. So I'm very grateful for the team and for this grant. So just briefly, your conceptual framework के थियो मेरो research को भन्ने पार्टहरुमा चाहिँ, so to understand the mental health concerns among the adolescents and young adults, I thought it was important to explore on the aspects of school environment, relationships. It involves like teacher-student relationship, parent-child relationship, friendship, social relationships, or media use, family support, and exposure to negative life experiences. So this study was conducted on a mixed group, which comprised of both heterosexual adolescents and youths and queer adolescents and youths. So among the queer adolescent and youth, we decided to further explore on the experiences of the exploration of identity, and also the experiences of coming out. And in addition to all these components, we also used a tool called mmap. So this means we specifically used it to measure the symptoms of depression and anxiety, to look into the functional limitations, to look into the societal ideations and behaviors, and also to look into the component of how these young adults have been striving to seek like some connection and help seeking भन्ने कुराहरू. And we also used an adaptation of the stressful life events, which was used in a study in Joomla. So यो चाहिँ मेरो conceptual framework भयो. So I used a mixed method approach for this research, which comprised of both the quantitative research methodology and qualitative research methodology. यसमा चाहिँ मैले specifically explanatory sequential model use गरेँ हैन, where in phase 1 चाहिँ quantitative data collection was conducted. Josma the tools that I used to collect the quantitative data was specifically mmap, which is measuring mental health among adolescents and young population at the population level. अनि अर्को चाहिँ stressful life event, यहाँ चाहिँ sorry अलिकति त्यो acronym interchange भएको रहेछ. So stressful life events को पनि adaptation थियो. So that comprised my quantitative data collection tool. So analyzing the quantitative data and identifying these individuals who scored high on these like mental health symptom scales, and identifying the patterns that was related to stressful life events, and also analyzing the demographic variables that gave me insight into what things to explore in phase 2, I know, which was the qualitative data collection part. So qualitative data collection part, I used a structure questionnaire to delve into like these things that I found intriguing. So just quickly going over the research method. So we approached like 4 colleges in Kathmandu, Nepal, namely Thames College, King's College, British College, and St. Xavier's College, for circulating like the questionnaire among the students. These colleges, some of these colleges have +2 program running, undergrad level program run गरिराख्नु भएको थियो. So it actually matched our age criteria. किनकि हाम्रो sample size को लागि चाहिँ हामीले late adolescent years हरूमा भएको students हरूदेखि लिएर young adulthood मा भएको students हरू age group मा भएको youth हरू लिनु खोजेको थियौं. So the age criteria we had was 18 to 24 years old, and which perfectly matched on the +2 undergrad level students. And this was the reason we reached out to these colleges for more access to a wider population of young people. So let's just skip this part. So presenting the findings of my research. So demographic information, I think the gender distribution was very interesting. So with 57% being female, 26% being male, and there were 17% of students, young adults, who identified in the LGBTQIA+ spectrum. And as mentioned, is 18 to 24 category ko liएको थियौं. And it was very interesting that a lot of responses were from students from undergraduate level, followed by students of higher school, and some percentage of students were enrolled in diploma program and graduate studies. And the top mental health concerns reported were like 154 responses collect in our quantitative data collection. And out of that, 28 individuals, they had diagnosed mental health conditions. So few of it being attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which is characterized by hyperactivity, impulsiveness, and attention related issues. There is also depression, there's post-traumatic stress disorder, there's borderline personality disorder, there's limerence, there's anxiety, bipolar disorder, and also obsessive compulsive disorder. So your students at the college level ma face गरेको difficulty or जुन थियो त्यसलाई चाहिँ I've grouped it into 3 broad categories. So one being the academic difficulties that they face, which includes like the workload, like workload ma चाहिँ most of the students they reported having being burdened with the assignments or tests or quizzes or any exams and assignments clashing at the same time, which made it hard for them to manage time for the studies, and it was difficult for them to pursue their hobbies or get involved in like social life. So to कुराहरुमा time management को पार्टहरुमा पनि they had mentioned such experiences. Or academic skills, just say many students they mentioned of how they felt like they lacked on valuable skills in the college, like critical thinking aspects or writing aspects or they felt like they were very weak, and which made them alikati score less than other students. So that was very stressful thing for them. When managing expectations from both like parents, teachers, and also the expectations that they have for themselves. Social difficulties, ma'am, the things that were very reported very frequently were adjustment issues. Your adjustment issues, it's very interesting because mostly your undergrad level ko your first year students bachelor first year students they reported like issues regarding adjustment, and specifically because they come into a very new college environment, a new system, a diverse background ko students and the first year was thought to be very difficult for them. The transition was thought to be very difficult for them, and a lot of difficulties relating to social interaction, where they found it hard to forge friendship altogether, and a lot of issues regarding groupism in the classes, and one group being dominant over another. Such issues were reported, and also peer pressure on using substances and all were also reported. Personal difficulties. Many students they mentioned how their mental health condition, mental health issues was making it hard for them to continue college, which led to some students to decisions like dropping out of the college or being absent for a very long time. So they had missed like the entire semester altogether. Ani कतिको चाहिँ physical health issues भएर पनि they had to stay back home and miss on the classes which caused them a high amount of stress, because पछि त्यो catch up गर्नको लागि पनि गाह्रो भएको, अनि त्यो कतिको लागि त्यो year loss भएर पनि गाह्रो भएको issues भन्नुभएको थियो. अनि there were definitely financial issues. Some students were also found to be managing like juggling with the internship and colleges because of which it made it very taxing for them. So यो चाहिँ it's यो जुन हामीले AMAP tool भनेको थियौँ, AMAP tool मा चाहिँ we measure symptoms of depression and anxiety, functional assessment, care and connectedness को पार्टहरु नै societality को पार्टहरु, अनि यसमा चाहिँ I've just been able to bring out like a few of these indicators. So anxiety को prevalence हेर्ने हो भने out of the 154 participants, 48 participants scored higher on anxiety-related symptoms. So हाम्रो cutoff score चाहिँ 10 थियो for GED related questions. So this was 48 students, they actually scored on a higher end of anxiety-related symptoms. Depression ko चाहिँ out of 154 students, 31 students ले चाहिँ depression को symptoms देखेको थियो. And when we measured like the students' thoughts on self-harm and suicidal attempts and ideation, 19 students mentioned that they have had thoughts of like harming themselves, killing themselves. And I'm so sorry about the funds. I don't know how the funds are appearing like this. So sorry about that. So junior stressful life events ko hamro adaptation थियो, त्यसमा चाहिँ we had like all these indicators, like political indicators so just the political instability, political country ko political environment कतिको affect गरेको छ छैन भन्ने कुराहरु, environmental events mainly like climate crisis को issues like disaster, natural disaster को cases कति life मा affect गरेको छ छैन भन्ने कुराहरु, social relationship relationship aspect ma friendships connection networking हरूमा कतिको अफेक्ट गरेको छ छैन भन्ने कुराहरू financial reasons family को पनि conflicts between family अथवा connectedness between the family members त्यो कुराहरू हेरेको थियौं there's this work stress there's issues about the physical health romantic relationship and academics हरू so political events हरू political occurrences हरूले चाहिँ त्यस्तो एफेक्ट गरेको चाहिँ देखिदैन हैन for these students where some of the indicators are on the high end हैन जस्तै हेर्ने हो भने सबसे हाईएस्ट भनेको academic stress नै छ for the students त्यसपछि financial aspects हरूले पनि stressful भएको कुराहरू indicate गर्छ भने अरु indicators like work stress social relationship romantic relationship को कुराहरूले पनि equally नै affect गरेको चाहिँ देखिन्छ So these are the findings from our qualitative research, qualitative portion of the research. So यसमा चाहिँ specifically because when we look into this, your academic stress एकदमै huge देखेको कारणले चाहिँ while exploring more on like the academic and college environment, I was able to pinpoint to these 5 major areas भनौं अनि यसलाई चाहिँ I grouped it into positive factors and negative factors. So student-teacher relationship ma चाहिँ when the teachers provided information about the mental health services, information about the mental signs and symptoms of mental health, and some teachers were also making referral from the class students to professional mental health services. I know that was actually thought to be very helpful for students. And some students also regarded their classroom as a safe space because they had very open discussions about mental health in these classrooms. And they felt like they could open up about the problems in the classroom space, and teachers were also thought as a first responders. Some of the teachers were aware about the mental health issues, were able to actually spot like the warning signs and symptoms among the students in the class, and that made it easier for them, for the students to seek help timely, or academics ma चाहिँ like the sense of achievement in general, the sense of achievement, sense of being recognized, sense of being acknowledged, that actually helped them in their confidence and in boosting their self-esteem भन्ने कुराहरू. And also consideration on deadlines from teachers were thought to be very helpful for students when they were struggling with their mental health issues. Friendship ko part ma, the positive factors that helped them in the college environment was conversations on mental health. Many students said like because their friends were very aware about mental health issues, they were very sensitive about mental health issues, it made them very easier to confront them about the internal like struggles that they were having, the mental health struggles that they were having भन्ने कुराहरू, and they could actually confide to their friends and have friends as a core support system when they were struggling भन्ने कुराहरू थियो. And also when we asked about like how competitive how negatively competitive the classroom space is in terms of grades and sabai kuraharu भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ no such instances, no such experiences were reported. And regarding the mental health resources at college, most of these colleges, namely like these 4 colleges, Thames College, King's College, British College, St. James College, they were found to be very doing the seminars and workshops on issues related to mental health very proactively, and students thought of their college as being very progressive in these aspects. And there were also student clubs that would do events and activities concerning students' mental health, and it also worked as a support group for many of the students. Curriculum definitely classroom discussions on mental health issues help the students, and it helped the students to understand like their own experiences pani. And also these colleges were also hosting these community service and exposure visits to many like mental health institutions or which actually helped the students to have a first-hand experiences of like service user stories or to have that awareness and exposure to mental health issues or so all of these experiences were thought to have worked as a supporting factor for them, as a productive factor for them inside their college environment. If we are to look into the negative factors, college environment ma चाहिँ teachers being dismissive of the mental health issues is actually impacted the students in it made them like invalidated about the mental health struggles होइन अनि public humiliation in the classroom it was reported एकदमै धेरै पनि होइन teachers casually humiliating like students in front of the whole classes होइन अनि the teachers being very dismissive of like the students achievements there was one statement that the student said where this female student she was like oh sorry एकदमै क्याजुअली केटीहरू त नकल पार्नेहरू मात्रै त हो लाइक अनि त्यही नकल पारेर केटा भेटाएर बिहे गरिहाल्छ सो वाइ डु हेभ टु इभन स्टडी होइन पे अटेन्सन टु द क्लास भन्यो सो एकदमै क्याजुअली गरेको रिमार्क्सहरूले पनि it had actually impacted the students very much where they questioned their worth and their efforts and teachers not addressing the issues in classroom discussion so many students they kind of pointed out the fact that when they have like discussions in the classrooms important discussions it results into a very heated discussions and the teacher not moderating those discussions actually resulted in the students really being against each other and behave and then kind of like holding that grudge against each other it was reported so academics कुरा गर्दाखेरि एकदमै the academic pressures यो undergrad level को students they reported about how like they don't have the flexibility to take like day offs like to not be present in some of the classes even when sometimes they have been really struggling with their issues be it like physical health issues mental health issues to classroom absent हुने leniency चाहिँ नभएको भन्ने कुराहरू थियो अनि being absent would actually mean that there would be like an NQ and that the consequences after NQ would be like very terrible for them so त्यो कुराहरू अनि failure in general and for many students balancing internships and college was thought to be a very taxing thing for them and perfectionism ko kuraharu unrealistic expectations from the student from unrealistic expectations for students friendships ko kura गर्ने हो भने conflicts between the friends insecurities difficulty forming friendships also instances where they had to deal with toxic friends, adjustment issues. There was also incidents of bullying and gender differences in responding to emotional difficulties. What a student said was like this student who is a female, when she resorted to like her group of friends, the way the male friends would respond to it and the way female students would respond to it was very different. So male students, they said they were more like अलिकति shut down गर्नु खोज्ने त्यस्तो एक्सपिरियन्सेसहरू थियो भने female friends were found to be more empathetic and they listened to the problems भन्ने कुराहरू थियो and very important insight here is like many students didn't have a counselor so St. Xavier's र British College मा चाहिँ many students say they had like a counselor present in the college भने अरु दुईटा कलेजेसहरुमा चाहिँ खासै थिएन and also frustration towards the education system and COVID ले गर्दाखेरि पनि कतै academic timeline delay भएको messed up भएको कुराहरु थियो अनि त्यो कुराहरुले गर्दाखेरि एकदमै frustration थियो towards the education system. So these are some of the statements that the students said. I'll just read it out. So one of the respondents, this person shares, when I received my result, I was not able to tell my parents at all. I was not receiving anyone's call. And that evening I was sitting crying and my dad calls my mother to ask how much grades I received. That was the first time I thought of ending my life. So the failure लिनु एकदमै गाह्रो भएको कुराहरू. Another respondent shares, if only I had received the needed support during that time, things could have been a lot better for me. Maybe I would have been able to make friends. So the mental resources should be built. It should be worked upon. Colleges in general should be aware. Another respondent shares, in our classes, we were publicly shamed, but when I encountered that I was at a point where I could speak up and the others did for me as well, the teachers were really demotivating. The main reason I dropped chemistry because the teacher was like, you cannot do this and you cannot complete A levels. So I felt like I dropped it because of my anger. Another respondent shares, I think there are also some teachers who are really nice with whom we can share our personal things, and they're more friendly than just teachers. So there is always an open space. One of my teachers picked up on my non-verbal cues, even when I was not verbal about my struggles, and tried to find ways to help me. I'm still in touch with her, and I'm very grateful. I think that these statements open a window for us to kind of think, like, if we are educators and if we are working with students or it opens up a realization among us that how, like, our attitude towards students and the words that we say actually has an impact on students and their self-esteem, how they perceive themselves. I think that's one realization to have. I'm just gonna quickly go over this slide. So gender and sexual identity ko case ma these four things were very loud and clear to me, होइन? So it was identity exploration ma. I think identity exploration ma a lot of youths, they mentioned how, like, the representation of gay characters online हुन्छ नि, cartoonsहरूमा, mangaहरूमा, it actually helped them to think about their own identity, and that gave them answers to actually explore, like, what their romantic attraction is, what their sexual identity is भन्ने कुराहरूमा भनेको थियो. जस्तै यहाँ एउटा statementमा the respondent shares, through online characters, fictions, there was a lot of characters that are gay in nature, and those kind of things gave me exposure to these issues. अनि many times social media को role पनि mention भएको थियो, जसमा चाहिँ social, like, the things that they saw in social media, it actually helped in educating them about, like, issues regarding gender and sexual identity. And that's the first point when they started to ponder about their own preference and their own attraction. And a lot of discussion and conversation surrounding the ideas of religious beliefs. So how religious belief, let's say, it kind of considers, like, homosexuality ko kuraharu as a sin bhanne kuraharu. And on that regard, one participant shares, because I'm from a Christian family, it is a bit conservative, and we learned that homosexuality is a sin from an early age, so the religious trauma affected me a lot. And also there was a
हेलो, सरी टु इन्टरप्ट रुबिनाजी. हाम्रो चाहिँ रफली 2-3 मिनट्समा स्लाइड एक्चुली सर र हजुरले देखाउनु, अनि त्यसपछि डिस्कसनमा चाहिँ फेरि रिभाइज गरेर गरौँ है. फेरि Q&A को लागि पनि टाइम दिँदा हुन्छ नि है.
Sure,
thank
process.
you.
I'll quickly go over this. And also perception of what's feminine and masculine भन्ने कुराहरू हैन, what should a feminine body look like, what should a masculine body look like भन्ने कुराहरू. And for some students who are bisexual हैन, उनीहरुको लागि चाहिँ you cannot be bisexual because you are not, like, you are very feminine भन्ने कुराहरू, त्यस्तो कमेन्ट्सहरू पनि थियो. अनि coming out, about the experiences of coming out, a lot of them were found to be hesitant to come out to their parents, mainly because their parents are very dismissive about issues circulating, like queer issues or and they didn't trust their family enough to be supportive of their gender and sexual identity. For some, just your statement, ma'am, my father is in a leadership position in the church, and there is a notion that the children need to be exemplary. So my concern is less about whether he will accept me or not. I feel like I'm going to embarrass him and my family. So a lot of feelings circulating, like embarrassment ko kurare. So these are some of the challenges that's faced by queer youths. I'm just gonna read it out to save some time. So some students, they had, like, a supportive experiences as they explored their sexual or gender identity, even with the experiences of coming out, especially with their friends. However, some young people face a range of pressures to suppress who they are. Some faced, like, very hurtful comments, and they were questioned a lot about, like, their sexuality and gender identity. some students, they felt pressure to conform to the gender stereotypes in the school, especially for this person who came from a convent school. There were a lot of regulations on what a modest student should be भन्ने कुराहरू. Many students, they felt under pressure to choose a label in order to feel a sense of belonging and to move on with their lives. So these students, they said like they were actually not very sure on which spectrum they lie भन्ने कुराहरू. The pressure that they felt to choose a label was huge for them. Some children felt dismissed by adults in their lives who regarded them as too young to make a decisions. And also many adults dismissing queer students or issues as, oh, this is just a trend and this is just a phase भन्ने कुराहरू पनि सुनेको थियो है. Just 2 more minutes. Media use ko kura garnu parदाखेरि चाहिँ it's very evident from this data that a lot of them are like hooked on their phones हरू भनेर हैन. Mainly about the source of media that they use is like for social media and entertainment, for communication, for reading and research, and also for creative platforms like Pinterest. So media impact ko kuraहरू, positive kura garnu parदाखेरि a lot of them thought like these media platforms to be very stimulating for the brain, where they get like new ideas. It was thought to be a very educative tool for them. It was thought to be a good distraction when they have like too much of leisure time. Negative impact ko kura garnu parदाखेरि a lot of them mentioned like feeling of fatigue and a disconnection from family, isolation, and also unwanted exposure, news and disturbing content, specifically at the present time when there is like war happening around. These were some of the insights that I could get. So specifically about looking into like their help-seeking behaviors and coping mechanisms, friends were thought of as their number one support system. Someone they felt like comfortable to confide in. Help-seeking ko लागि, another thing that helped them is like conversations on mental health, where they felt like it was normal for them to feel that way भन्ने कुराहरू, अनि त्यो validation पनि, अनि seeking therapy पनि. So your generation ko लागि चाहिँ I think going to therapy, यो चाहिँ एउटा it's been a practice अहिले, like they are very aware and they have that insight about their problems, and they also know like the ways to seek help and where the resources are भन्ने कुरा पनि. So we'll cover this if we have time. तर अहिलेको लागि चाहिँ I'll just pause it here ल विनिताजी.
हुन्छ, थ्याङ्क यू रुबिनाजी. एकदम रिफ्रेसिङ टपिक अनि युनिक टपिक थियो. सो हामीलाई चाहिँ अलिकति टाइमले गर्दा चाहिँ बिचमा इन्टरप्ट गर्नु पर्यो. सो यो पनि अलिकति हेल्पफुल अथवा नयाँ कुराहरू पनि भयो होला हाम्रो जुन जोइन हुनुभएको छ पार्टिसिपेन्टहरूलाई. सो हजुरहरूको कुनै क्वेरिज कन्सर्न छ भने चाहिँ हजुरहरूले ह्यान्ड रेज गरेर अहिले सोध्न सक्नुहुनेछ हाम्रो स्पिकरलाई, अर हाम्रो च्याट बक्स युज गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ. So we already have one question from Ritika Singh. So मैले चाहिँ यो क्वेसन पढ्छु अनि हजुरले एन्सर गर्दा हुन्छ है. ओके. What's the means of data collection online? What do you think led participants to disclose their mental health diagnosis and their identity and experiences of coming out in this research?
Data collection को medium चाहिँ quantitative part मा चाहिँ we did it completely online है. So त्यसमा चाहिँ we used Google Forms, जसमा चाहिँ we had like questions on उनीहरूको demographic informationsहरू, उनीहरूको media use को जस्तै questionsहरू हैन, the AMAP tool that we used, अनि also stressful life events को questionsहरू थियो. So it was a combination of all of that. It was kind of detailed, अनि I'm actually happy we were able to achieve that many number पनि. अनि I think them disclosing about the mental diagnosis, एउटा चाहिँ we had made it very anonymous नै हैन, the whole anonymize गरेको थियो. अनि हामीले consent formहरू पनि we made it like very clear for them. So before they would sign up to fill up the questionnaire, they would have to go through हाम्रो informed consent, अनि informed consent मा पनि हाम्रो ethical guidelines or protocolsहरू what all is in place भन्ने कुराहरू पनि थियो. So I'm assuming that helped too, that assurance that their information will be kept confidential and it would just be used for the purpose of research भन्ने कुराहरू पनि. But it also makes me think like अहिलेको generation चाहिँ they are very open about having these conversations on mental health about seeking help for the mental health struggles. I do see that happen a lot अहिलेको generation को students हरूमा पनि. So I think त्यो hesitation नभएको कारण त्यो पनि हुन सक्छ about the identity and experiences of coming out in this research यो पनि I would say maybe I think यो generation अहिलेको जेनजी नै भनौँ like these स्टुडेन्ट्सहरूको एज ग्रुप हेर्दाखेरि यो जेनजीकोमा चाहिँ I think there has been a lot of like movements हुन्छ नि social movements that has kind of like shaped this generation जस्तो पनि लाग्छ so यो generation चाहिँ I see them very progressive about issues relating to like queer movementsहरू होइन feminist movementsहरू so त्यो पार्टले गर्दाखेरि पनि जस्तो कलेज लेभलमा नै हेर्ने हो भने like the colleges that I worked at like both ULENS र Themes College the visibility of students who identify as being queer is very very huge होइन so admissionको processहरूदेखि लिएर नै when we ask like why did they select this particular college भन्दाखेरि they kind of like come out in the interviews itself that oh I found this college to be very progressive and I thought like me being a queer person would actually fit in the college environment भनेर आइरहेको पनि हुन्छ like even admissionको procedure-देखि नै होइन so त्यो कुराहरू हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ I feel like this generation is very open to ideas circulating like mental health को कुराहरू अनि also like queer rights-हरू also because यो generationमै धेरै movements-हरू पनि भयो globally नै so त्यो कुराहरूले गर्दाखेरि पनि होला
Okay, thank you Ruvina ji. So हाम्रो जीश्री गुरुङले ह्यान्ड रेज गर्दै हुनुहुन्छ म्याम
Right. Thank you, Ruvina, so much for the presentation. I think we were interested in your proposal because not a lot has been done around. Not a lot of research has been done around sexual minorities, adolescent population. So this was very interesting. मेरो question is, so you just mentioned अहिलेको generation चाहिँ अलिक woke छ and they are more aware about these sort of like queer rights issues हरू तिनीहरू but can you generalize that with like हाम्रो overall नेपालको population of that particular age group because I know like your research is focused in very few colleges in Kathmandu that has somewhat environment to foster the woke conversations but that's not the case in other colleges so I think like would you still say this sort of conversation is relevant for youths and adolescents in wider context of Nepal's education system. Also, your implications of the findings in Nepal's education system as a whole, and not just like you selected colleges, or what would you say about that?
Yeah, I think a very important question. A lot of reflection to be done, Paddy, regarding that particular question. So definitely, मैले जुन मेरो sample size यो 4वटा colleges-हरू लिएको थिएँ यो colleges-हरू नै पहिला मैले reach out गर्नुको reason नै like I did like some research. I went to their websites-हरू अनि Instagram pages-हरू त्यो explore गर्दाखेरि नै I already found like these colleges were doing so much regarding like queer issues-हरू होइन त्यही भएर पनि मलाई reach out गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ I'll have like a pool of like students who would identify as like identify in the LGBTQIA spectrum भन्ने नै थियो so त्यही भएर पनि अलिकति purposive sampling तिर गएको पनि reason नै त्यही हो so these 4 colleges has already been doing like they already have a system in place to support like यो issues-हरू यो movement-हरू त्यही भएर पनि obviously I cannot like definitely generalize to like all the colleges in Kathmandu or Nepal पनि होला तर मेरो जुन students-हरू participants-हरू हुनुहुन्छ उनीहरू चाहिँ mostly यो 4 colleges-हरू भएको कारणले चाहिँ definitely यो नेपालको अब यो few यो renowned colleges-हरुमा चाहिँ यो movement-हरु चाहिँ start भइसक्यो अलिकति visibility-हरु चाहिँ start भइसक्यो भन्छु तर at the same time I feel like a lot of work has to be done अरु colleges-हरुको पार्टमा चाहिँ second question चाहिँ I didn't quite get I kind of forgot like I'm a train of thoughts मै भुल्यो
That's
Can you
okay.
repeat it again?
Sure. So basically your implication of the finding from this study on wider education system of Nepal कि तपाईको यो findings बाट चाहिँ what recommendations would you give in wider education system of Nepal?
So specifically, I'll just focus on mental health aspects or queer issues or these are like two things that I want to emphasize your research findings or better. So अहिले यो चारवटा कलेजेसहरूमा चाहिँ why do students think of these colleges हुन्छ नि as a safe space for them भन्ने पनि कुराहरू गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ it's mainly because they also have these experiences of where the teachers are very open-minded and they are very progressive and they do support students with issues like this होइन so त्यो भएको कारणले चाहिँ it was found to be a very यो mental health resources हुनु कलेज लेभलहरूमा होइन अब क्वेयरहरूको लागि जस्तै कति कलेजेसहरू they were also initiating like gender neutral टोइलेटहरू होइन so which really accommodates like students who identify under the spectrum होइन LGBTQI plus spectrum so त्यो कुराहरू चाहिँ एउटा पोजिटिभ स्टेप हो भन्छु म चाहिँ कलेज लेभलमा इन्टिग्रेट गर्ने सो आई थिङ्क नेपालको अब ब्रडर एजुकेसन सिस्टमहरूमा पनि सच स्टेप्स सुड बी टेकन सो स्पेसिफिकली कन्भर्सेसन सुड स्टार्ट ह्यापनिङ होइन अबाउट मेन्टल हेल्थ इस्युजहरू क्वेयर इस्युजहरू what system, what resources we need to put in place हाम्रो कलेज लेभलमा कलेज सेटिङमा भने किनभने कलेजमा त the students spend like 5 to 6 hours sometimes 8 hours they spend maximum amount of their time in college भनेपछि कलेज त एउटा सपोर्टिभ अनि सेफ स्पेस हुनु पर्यो फर स्टुडेन्ट्स होइन सो कलेजमा त्यो सपोर्ट पायो भने चाहिँ आई थिङ्क कलेजको क्लासरुम टिचिङहरूबाट कलेजको ओभरअल इन्भाइरोमेन्टबाट त्यो सपोर्ट पायो भने चाहिँ आई थिङ्क दे बिकम लाइक become able youths in all sense होइन so I think त्यो खाली support चाहिँ हुनुपर्छ college levelहरूमा and in the broader like education sectorमा
थ्याङ्क यू बोथ सो हाम्रो एउटा मात्रै क्वेसन लिन्छौँ हामीले दुईटा सिमिलर नै छ सो वाट आर सम सेल्फ केयर प्र्याक्टिसेस द्याट क्यान बी इन्कर्पोरेट इन्टु डेली लाइफ रुटिन अनि अर्को चाहिँ वाट सर्ट अफ थेरापी यु सजेस्ट फर मेन्टल वेलबिङ सिमिलर छ सो यसको सर्ट भन्नु हजुरले हामीले
थेरापीहरू त डिफ्रेन्ट थेरापी हुन्छ सबैलाई एउटै खालको थेरापी मोडल सुट पनि गर्दैन सो देयर आर भेरी डिफ्रेन्ट स्कुल्स अफ साइकोथेरापी होइन कग्निटिभ बिहेभियर थेरापीहरू हुन्छ डिपिटी डायलेक्टिकल बिहेभियर थेरापीहरू हुन्छ एक्जिस्टेन्सियल थेरापी हुन्छ नरेटिभ प्र्याक्टिसेसहरू हुन्छ यो सबै थेरापीको अप्रोच स्ट्रेन्थ्सहरू डिफ्रेन्ट हुन्छ सो आई थिङ्क इट एक्चुली डिपेन्ड्स अन the kind of like struggles that you are going through होइन so cognitive behavior therapyमा चाहिँ mainly if you are kind of struggling with like negative thoughts let's say all cognitive distortionsहरू होइन त्यो कुराहरू फेस गरिराख्नु भएको छ भने चाहिँ cognitive therapy actually helps to kind of reframe your thought processes existential therapyमा चाहिँ if you have been questioning about like life होइन अलिकति तपाईँलाई चाहिँ philosophical way of मनपर्छ होइन भने चाहिँ maybe existential therapy works for you narrative therapy practicesहरूमा चाहिँ मेन स्टोरीहरूमा वर्क गर्छ प्रब्लम एज अ स्टोरी हेर्छ होइन अर्को स्ट्रेन्थ बेस्ड थेरापीहरू पनि हुन्छ सो देयर इज एक्चुली भेरी लाइक मेनी डिफ्रेन्ट स्कुल्स अफ थेरापी तर त्यो चाहिँ the kind of goals that you have for yourself, the kind of expectations that you have from therapy, त्यसमा नै depend गर्छ होला for the next question, what could be some of the self-care practices that could be incorporated into daily routine to support mental health? It actually, I would say it actually, अब एकदमै techniques-हरू there's like छ तर I would emphasize that whatever helps you in achieving your well-being है अब हाम्रो वेलनेसको कुराहरू गर्दाखेरि we focus on like the 8 dimensions of wellness होइन एउटा physical wellness, spiritual wellness, social wellness, there's like intellectual wellness, academic, work-related wellness. So wellness को different dimensions-हरू छ होइन so त्यो different dimensions-हरूमा how do you feel fulfilled भन्ने question हो होइन so physical wellness को लागि maybe physical movement-हरू होइन getting sleep on time, focusing on like nourishing your body with nutritious food that helps. Spiritual wellness ko lagi maybe relating to like feeding into like अलिकति spirituality को कुराहरू अथवा तपाईको ideology-हरू match हुने like कुराहरू सुन्ने त्यस्तो कुराहरू might help होइन academic goals-हरू set गर्ने having like a organized like work plan, study, all of that helps होइन so त्यो wellness तपाईको लागि how do you feel अलिकति लाइक पिस अफ माइन्ड भनेको कुरा चाहिँ आई थिङ्क इट डिपेन्ड्स अन यु कसैको लागि म्युजिक सुनेर होला कसैको लागि गोइङ फर वाक इन्टु द नेचर होला होइन सो आई थिङ्क सबैको आफ्नै कोपिङ स्ट्राटेजीहरू चाहिँ हुन्छ मेबी एक्सप्लोर मोर अन द्याट भन्छु म
थ्याङ्क यू रुबिनाजी हाम्रो आज टाइम 7 बजिसकेछ सो एकदमै खुसी लाग्यो ह्याप्पी टु नो द्याट वी हेभ सो मच टु लर्न अबाउट अनि हाम्रो प्रेजेन्टेसन अरू कुनै हजुरहरूलाई क्वेरिज छ अथवा केही छ भने चाहिँ हामीलाई एमएचआरएनमा इमेल गर्न सक्नुहुनेछ अरू रुबिनाजीलाई पनि इमेल गर्न अथवा कन्ट्याक्ट गर्न सक्नुहुनेछ हाम्रो थ्रुबाट अनि अरू फिडब्याक फर्म भरिदिनु होला अनि यो वेबिनारको हाम्रो स्लाइडहरू पनि हामीले सेयर गर्छौँ सो हाम्रो रेजिस्ट्रेसन फर्महरू भरिदिनु होला सो लास्टमा चाहिँ थ्याङ्क यू सो मच रुबिनाजी अनि हजुरले हामीलाई एमएचआरएनमा ग्रेटफुल भन्नुभएको थियो सो इट्स अ प्लेजर टु हेभ यु इन दिस वेबिनार अनि हाम्रो यु हेभ डन इन्क्रेडिबल वर्क अनि एकदम युनिक टपिक थियो सो हामीलाई एकदमै खुसी पनि लाग्यो यहाँ सेयर गर्नुभयो डिस्कसन पनि राम्रो हुन्थ्यो अझै धेरै कुराहरू सिक्न रहेछ भन्ने फिल पनि भयो थ्याङ्क यू सो मच फर बिङ हियर एन्ड थ्याङ्क यू सो मच रितिका म्याम एन्ड थ्याङ्क यू सो मच एभ्री वान फर जोइनिङ द वेबिनार सो हामीले अर्को वेबिनारमा पनि भेट्नेछौँ सो आज चाहिँ 7:02 भइसक्यो सो 2 मिनट यता गइसक्यौँ हामी सो थ्याङ्क यू सो मच एभ्री वान बाई बाई गुड नाइट
Thank you everybody.